Om Namo Narayana, Jai Swaminaryan. Today we are reading Book 2 of the Ramayana. Brahmins, suggestion. Before I go into this, let me just say I've looked forward into this chapter and it's multiple people talking. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. Who knows who is talking when? Instead of rotating between 7 voices, I'm just going to do one voice. So if you wanted a really interpretive reading, no, I'm not going to do that. Not today. So, here we go. Brahmin suggestion. The night of that day in Ayodhya stretched without end, somehow got over with crowded people choked in sorrow, and rendered greatly cheerless. When the night came to an end and the sun rose up, the Brahmins who were entrusted with the job of choosing the king assembled in the royal hall. The very famous Markandeya, Vamadeva, Mudgalya, Kashyapa, Kathyayana, Gautama, and Jabali, along with the ministers, approached the chief priest, Vishishtadvaita, and expressed their opinions. They said, that orphan night was like a period of 100 years, having lost its lord to the sorrow of parting with his son. The king has gone to heaven, Rama had gone to the forest, and the illustrious Lakshmana had gone along with his brother. Both Bharatha and Shatrugna, who were the destroyers of their enemies, had gone to the pretty city of Kaikeyi, called Rajagriha, to live with their maternal grandfather. Let anyone belonging to the clan of Ikshvaku be made the king now itself, since the kingdom would attain destruction without the king. In a country without the king, the garland of lightning and thunders does not drench the earth with its divine rains. In a country without a king, even a handful of seeds will not be sown, and the son or wife does not obey the words of the head of the family. There is no wealth in the country without a king, even the wife would not stay with her husband, and another great peril when there is no king. Truth also will not exist. In a country without a king, people do not build buildings and gardens for recreation, and temples do not exist. In a country without a king, learned and self-controlled Brahmins, who are well-versed in Vedas, and who have the habit of performing sacrifices, do not perform yajnas. In a country without kings, the wealthy Brahmins do not give abundant gifts to those who are chief priests of great sacrifices. In a country without a king, the innumerable dancers and actors do not prosper during festivals or activities promoting the welfare of the country. In a country without a king, those engaged in lawsuits do not get their problem solved, and those who are experts in telling stories do not entertain the listeners of those stories. In a country without a king, youthful, ornamented ladies do not meet in pleasure gardens in the evening and get engaged in sports. In a country without a king, pleasure-seeking men do not drive in a chariot along with their women in the forests. In a country without a king, the rich people who have earned their money by cultivation and cattle rearing cannot sleep securely in their homes with doors wide open. In a country without a king, the 60-year-old elephants with long tusks and also adorned with bells cannot wander about in the royal avenues. In a country without a king, the clapping of the leather shields protecting the hands of archers who shoot arrows incessantly for practice is not heard. In a country without a king, merchants cannot travel long distances with several kinds of marketable goods and be safe. In a country without a king, the sages who move about alone contemplating on the higher self, who seek residence in homes at evening time, do not wander about. In a country without a king, the well-being of people is not taken care of, and the army cannot oppose the enemy in a battle. In a country without a king, you cannot see well-dressed men riding on the best of horses or chariots, forgetting happiness. In a country without a king, men who are experts in the Shastras do not sit for discussions in the forests and in the gardens. In a country without a king, the religiously disciplined people do not offer garlands of flowers, sweets, and monetary charities while worshipping gods. In a country where there is no king, the princes who anoint themselves with sandal paste and agaru look like trees in spring and do not look graceful. The country without a king is like a river without water, a tree without vegetation, and cows without cowherds. The flag is the identification of a chariot, smoke is the identification of fire, and we are without a magnificent king, as he has gone to heaven. In a country without a king, no person can own anything as his own, and men are like fishes and eat one another. The atheists who go beyond moral bounds and live without any fears due to the fear of punishment of the king would also follow the path of virtue. Like the sight daily watches over the welfare of the body, the king is the source of protection of truth and dharma of the country. The king is the truth and the dharma. The king is the tradition of every family. The king is the mother and the father and the welfare of the people. For that reason, a king with great characters excels the god of death, the god of wealth, and is very strong god of rain. If the king does not happen to differentiate between good and bad actions, there would be darkness and nothing would be visible. Even when the king was alive, we used to obey your words, like the ocean, which never oversteps its shore. O great Brahmin, considering all these, please choose a son of the Ikshvaku race and anoint him as king, because without a king, the country is like a forest. Chapter 68 is called Messengers to Bharatha. After hearing their words, Vishishtadvaita replied to the friends and ministers of the king, as well as the Brahmins. That Bharatha, on whom the king has conferred his kingdom accompanied by his Shatrugna, is living extremely happy in the home of his maternal uncle. So let us send swift messengers on high-speed horses to bring them back. What is there for us to deliberate any more in this matter? All of them addressed Vishishtadvaita and then said, "Let them go." And on hearing their words, Vishishtadvaita said, "O Siddhartha, Vijaya, Jayanta, Asoka, Nananda, Nandana, I am addressing all of you and telling you, let it be heard. Go swiftly to the city of Rajagira on horse, and having gone there, hide your sorrow, and this order should be told to Bharatha. The priest and all the ministers wish you well. Please return back urgently, as a very urgent task awaits you." That is all. After going there, do not tell him anything about Rama's exile to the forest, or the death of his father, or the disaster that has fallen on the Raghu clan. Take along with you silk garments and precious ornaments, and give them quickly to the king of Kakeya, and depart quickly with Bharatha. Those messengers who were going to the Kakeya kingdom went to their homes, collected necessary things for the journey, and mounted on excellent horses, and went. After that, those messengers, after doing the necessary arrangements, went on their journey after taking permission from Vishishtadvaita. Those messengers reached Apatala mountains, traveling west. Then they traveled north towards Pralamba mountains along the banks of the river Malini, which flows in between them. Those messengers crossed the river Ganga near Hasintanapura and traveled towards the west through the middle of Kurajangala, and reached the country of Panchalas, with lakes full of water and rivers with crystal clear waters. They traveled with great speed so that their mission could be completed quickly. Then they crossed the divine Saradanda river with its calm waters frequented by various types of fowls and filled with people, and they speedily traveled further. Then they worshipped the divine Satyapayakshana, the wish-giving tree, that grew on the banks, and after saluting it, entered the city of Kaligna. They then reached the city of Abhikala, and then crossed the Ikshumati river, flowing from Bodhi Bhavana mountains, which were once ruled by the father and ancestors of King Dasartha. There, having seen Brahmins who were drinking water from their own cupped hands, and who were well versed in the Vedas, they traveled through the middle of Balika country, and went to the mountain called Sudama. After seeing Vishnu's feet, Vipasa river, Samali trees, rivers, deep wells with steps, lakes, ponds, large tanks, different types of lions, tigers, and elephants, they undertook a very long journey to fulfill the command of their master. After a prolonged journey on their tired horses, those messengers swiftly went towards and reached the great city of Girivraja to please their lord, and for protecting the clan of the Ikshvaku, and for the sake of upholding the greatness of the clan of their master, without any negligence and with great speed, they reached the town that night. Thus ends chapter 68. And that answered a question I had. Where is Bharatha? I've mentioned more than once that we've not heard from Bharatha. All this has happened. He's the unseen centerpiece of this. He's about to be king, and we haven't heard from him. I don't know if it was mentioned before and I just missed it in passing. Very likely. So, with that, it's a good place to end the video. Say thank you very much for joining me.